I'm joined now by an election protection attorney, Richard C. Bell, who's also the author of the new book, Voting, The Ultimate Act of Resistance. Isn't that true? He's a legal analyst and commentator in the areas of civil rights and voting rights, police reform, and liability issues. You can go to his website at richardcbellesque.com. He was on location, by the way, in Pennsylvania's Montgomery County on Tuesday and has over 15 years of experience fighting for voting rights. He joins us now once again. Richard C. Bell, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Oh, Laura, very well. You sound well today, and I just couldn't wait to talk to you this morning.
Well, me too. Thank you. And I sound well because I actually slept more than 3 hours last night. And that hasn't happened in a number of days. And this morning, the matcha latte was just because I was used to it, not because I was desperate to keep my eyes open.
Don't make it too much of a habit.
No, that's why I can't do coffee. I do a matcha, I do a chai, and then I just go cold turkey for nothing and just have my hot water, which I like even better. But Richard C. Bell, you also are burning the midnight oil and probably burning the candle at both ends, as you often do as an election protection attorney during election season, and this was no exception. The president, as you know, has filed all these lawsuits, and he, from yesterday's, can we call it a press conference, where he just decided to download in many ways. What's ahead of us?
That would be a real stretch to call it a press conference or even to call it an address to the nation. I would call it an out-of-control denigration of democracy.
Well, there you go. Not quite as pithy, but I'm with you. Richard, what can we look forward to? And looking forward is a misnomer, but he has four lawsuits. He is saying that this has all been fraudulent. He misconstrues counting ballots versus casting ballots, and that counting ballots somehow is fraudulent. But he still filed the lawsuits nonetheless. Does anything concern you? Does anything have legs?
Okay, I'd say the only one that has toes might be Pennsylvania, if the number of ballots that come in during the 3-day period after Election Day could overturn Pennsylvania, which at the moment doesn't look likely. And like I said, I think that has toes, not legs. The others, I think what we all, obviously you understand, the audience also needs to understand, is that in court, in election contests, you have to challenge enough individual ballots with real evidence, not some rhetoric on television, but real evidence to throw out enough ballots for fraud or improper counting in order to overturn the vote count. So where are we right now? So we're in, for instance, Nevada. This morning, the Trump campaign says it's going to file in federal court that 10,000 non-residents voted. Well, where's the evidence? Because, first of all, non-residents, if you're a part-time resident or a student in another state or someone who recently moved, you can vote. So there's a real explanation for why ballots are mailed to people out of state in Nevada. And that's going to be filed. The two candidates filed yesterday, Republican. He's going to join them. Arizona. This morning, there's going to be a hearing. This is true, Laura. Trump wants to intervene in Maricopa County because they gave one voter a Sharpie when there was a problem with the machine, so she could fill out her paper ballot. And they're arguing that a Sharpie, as opposed to another writing instrument, was made for a fraudulent vote. That's where we are right now.
You don't mean the original president. You don't mean the president to whom you can add Sharpie Gate to one of his conspiracy theories.
Very good.
You couldn't possibly
now
mean.
He's against Sharpies. Good point.
You can't mean the same man who drew to let people know about a hurricane in some way that he is now saying Sharpies should not be used. That is just too much. That's rich, wouldn't you say?
That is very rich, and that was a good one. Very good, Laura. I like that. Now in Michigan. So this morning, we're going to have a ruling, but the judge tipped her hand yesterday because they said they want to stop the count in Michigan because of irregularities on how close the election observers could be in Detroit. And the judge said yesterday, I haven't really seen any evidence at all. And more important is that it's kind of moot because the count in Michigan is basically done. So that's another silliness.
Well, so
like
I want to drill that
Pennsylvania-
home though
yes.
for people, Richard. I want to drill that home because I want people to understand when what Trump is asking for in those jurisdictions is not, or in Pennsylvania in particular, or Michigan, or now you're saying in Nevada. It's not that he is saying, although we don't know what he's saying, there's no real evidence of it. It's about the relief that's requested, because a court is waiting to hear what relief you would like them to provide you. They don't just want to sort of be the parent separating fighting children. They want to actually know at the end of the conversation, what would you like them to do about it? And when you talk about what you have to do about it, it has to be something that is still relevant. And so when you make the point about, well, you're asking us the opportunity, you said that you want to be able to observe the count of the ballot. Well, the count's already been done. And also, if what you're saying is you have no evidence or any suggestion that looking at me counting it will somehow change the tabulation, it's just a way for you to have better access, then you're not really asking the court for any relief they can provide that would change the election, right?
Exactly, Laura. This isn't, some rhetoric on his reality TV show. This is court, where you and I are very familiar and comfortable with. And when I go into court and I try cases for a living, if I say to the jury, hold me to my proofs, and I have no proofs, then I lose. And when you go before a judge and you say, I want this relief, and they say, well, first of all, like you said, it's moot, it's gone, the count has happened, so I can't give you that. And by the way, did you have any evidence? And the answer right now is no.
And Richard, you have to also, what's important, I know you know this for election protection law, particularly, when you talk about the evidence that's out there, talk to us a little bit about how you get it, because it's not something for a lot of these issues in terms of fraudulent count, for example, or somebody who they are claiming that may have been out of state or not qualified or whatever it is. There is actually a timeliness of having to even gather the evidence, right? I mean, you have to be able to have the evidence at the time of the election, because it's very difficult to go back in time right now and try to recreate the circumstances and have some viability in court, right?
Great point, Laura, because this is how it works in real life, not in his reality TV show. In real life, in election contests, you gather the evidence on election day in real time. When I see a voter that's been denied, we get an affidavit right then and there. We make a application to the election judge. You gather the information in real time. And I don't know, Trump said they had 50,000 poll observers there. Why didn't they gather the election in real time? Maybe because it didn't happen. And if you're talking about the vote count, well, every time they've gone to court and saying their observers aren't allowed, the judge said yesterday to the Trump lawyer, there were not Trump observers there. And he said, no, they were there. They just we weren't all close enough. They're okay, fine. It's a pandemic, so okay, everybody can get within 6 feet. I mean, in court, they have to sheepishly admit they don't have the goods, and getting the goods 3 and 4 days out almost never happens. Just doesn't happen.
And speaking about the terms of the number of days here, because you were actually in Montgomery County in Pennsylvania on Tuesday, and I wonder, people are looking, we're of course all making fun of Nevada, because I don't know who's, they keep saying they must be counting rice grains, not ballots, because the efficiency it's happening in Nevada versus what's happening in a place like Pennsylvania or other states, and Michigan is really mind-boggling, but maybe there's some really good reasons for it. But tell me about why this ballot counting process is taking so long in places like Pennsylvania and also other states.
Oh, great reason. In Pennsylvania, it's because the Republican